Welcome everyone, it's Unstoppable Stilezzi here, and today the Age of Empires 3 Wars of Liberty patch 1.1.1D just came out. Yeah, and what does that mean? A bunch of changes were made. And what changes, might you ask? Well, unfortunately not new civs or even Great War Age stuff, but well, they changed a couple of civs around a bit. And some units too. Yeah, they did some big changes to cavalry across the board, which I think half of it you'll enjoy, half of it maybe not so much. Yeah, pretty much what they ended up doing was they took the cavalry that was considered scout, like hussars, uhlans, everything of that class, and they reduced their armor by about 0.10, so if their armor was like 0.30 or 30%, now it's 20% and so forth. Yeah, but the good thing is cavalry no longer damages itself when doing trample damage, because, well, it's the cavalry is trying to trample the enemies, not trample over themselves, you know what I mean? Yeah, and similarly for other units too, like how the Civico of Chile used to damage itself when doing its Choblica de Diablo attack, and no longer does that. And yeah, pretty good stuff. Yeah. So what are we doing here exactly? Well, what we're going to do is we are going to showcase probably the most substantial thing in this patch, which is the major change done to the Uruguayans. Yeah, and you're going to see very quickly why that's the case. We're just going to face some AI here in like a regular battle, just so you can get an idea of how big this is, really. Of course, we'll go up against Paraguay, like our arch nemesis, the supervillain of the War of the Triple Lines, so we'll definitely defeat them. Because we got a nice new asset now that we can take advantage of. But we won't see it yet for a while, so we'll just play out the rest of this match as normal. Set up our macro. Well, the macro that I'm recommending for Uruguay now is a little bit different than normal. Yeah. So depending on how much wood you can get in your treasures, how much RNG you can get with the treasures getting wood, I would recommend you actually pursue getting churches early rather than going with the Oriental Express, basically. So what does that mean? Normally what I used to do is I would get the Oriental Express with Uruguay, so I could basically have my Bequenos here provide themselves 2 population space instead of 1. So basically it makes it so you need even less houses than normal, right? Because as you know, with these villagers, every time you train one of these, you get 1 more population. So yeah, they basically don't count against your population at all to train them. But once you send Oriental Express, then they provide themselves 2 population spaces, so they provide population for themselves and then some, which saves on wood costs down the line and allows you to focus more on the hunting and mining, pretty much. Yeah. Yep, so reason why we're going to be going for the churches first is because XP is more important than ever now. Yeah. And you'll see why once we get to the second age. So we'll get Marianism now. How much wood do we got? Well, I guess the RNG wasn't too good for wood here, but we'll do it anyways just as a demonstration. Shouldn't take too long to get that 100 wood. Yeah, we just want to make sure that we keep up with our timings here since we are dealing with a very difficult AI. Yeah, so what we got here, XP. Why don't I just throw the big bomb at them? Boom! How'd that wolf survive? I don't know. Super wolf. Yeah, just take that one out. There, we should be ready to age up pretty soon. Meantime, we'll get our church down. When you get 2 churches like this for Marianism, because normally you can only have 1 church, right? But once you get Marianism, you can have 2. You basically end up trickling 1 XP point per second, really, in the combined rate. Now that we got about 200, we'll just get another church right away. Get that constructed. Perfect. Yeah, and this is all to basically prepare us for the new sort of Uruguayan meta that you're going to do in Age 2 now. for mostly your 1v1s, but also your team games. And from here, you can either choose to go Oriental Exodus to, I called it the Oriental Express. Yeah, it's the Exodus, and then Baltissimo if you want to go greedy a bit with your resources and get even more XP per second. But yeah, I think we're just going to go for the more population here and save the wood. Yep, and where's the food around here? It's up here, right? Yeah. Right, okay. So just get these villages over here. And just herd them in a bit. I mean, we're not dealing with Cappy or anything, so we don't have to be too paranoid about our villager placement, but it's still a pretty good idea to practice it a little bit, you know. Yeah. How many vills will we age up with, actually? I think maybe we could go up with just like 16. Anything more than that might be a little bit bonkers against a real opponent, so we'll just do that. You know what? Let's just cancel this out. I think we'll be alright. So, for me, I like to go Arabs usually. You can do any 3 of these if you want. Thankfully, all of these immigrants will be good age 2 choices depending on what your matchup is. So, you're just going to want to read your opponent's sort of like, not tech tree, because there's no tech trees in Wars of Liberty, but rather their roster and what they usually go for in their build wars and make a decision about this. Because, as you know, Uruguay was always a immigrant-centered civ in terms of bonuses, right? Basically, you were able to train your immigrant units for resources as if they were regular military units, which lets you being able to make much more of them than you normally could, right? Because you don't have to spend 1 shipment to get the battalions. No, you can train them individually for resources and be able to make your whole armies of immigrant units. But thankfully now, because of the current patch 1.1.1d, we got some good advantages, basically, that you can utilize. So we'll be able to see that very quickly, and we'll get to see some cool visual stuff, too, about what was included in this patch as well regarding the immigrants. So first we'll just focus on getting ourselves ready. Oh yeah, I should probably get some wood as well. Yeah, this is a little bit more important than it usually is because, you know, before, your immigrant colony was usually the primary building you would be training your military units out initially, but because of the changes I'm going to go over, that's obviously changed a little bit, right? So, where can we put this? Maybe midpoint? Sure. Now, this is the first thing I'll show you. Notice how the immigrant colonies look a little bit smaller than they usually do. They don't have as much points on them like a town center does. This was because the devs decided since immigrant colonies aren't really real town centers, or they're not supposed to be anymore, they decide, you know what, we're just gonna make this immigrant colony look a little bit more significant in the city, you know. It can still be unique looking, but it's not going to be as tall as the town center. The town center should really be the tallest thing in your base besides, like, forts, really. So yeah, this will be coming out. And factories, of course. Yeah, factories can be super muy chunky as well. So yep, here's our little Arab colony, and let's train some Gallegos. Oh, wait a second, what's this? Shipments? Isn't that what it's like for all the other civs? What happened to the normal resource training functionality of the Uruguayans? What happened to that? Did they get reverted for some reason? How's that going to affect the gameplay? Well, I can tell you with some good luck here and good fortune that now you can do both. Yeah. So with immigrant colonies with Uruguay, you're basically going to be able to make the battalions again for 1 shipment, and then at the military buildings is where you will actually train the immigrant units for resources like you were doing before from the colonies. And this is so you have multiple options. You can either train them for resources, or you can do them the traditional way from the colony and be able to ship them to your base. And why does this all matter so much? Well, this matters because now you can actually go for very substantial immigrant rushes with the different options again in Age 2. If you're looking for more of a standard musketeer style play, you can go for a Janissary style rush with the Gallegos, since they pretty much resemble the Janissaries of the Ottomans, of course. If you're looking for a cavalry raid, go with the Germans, jawohl, and do the Ulan cavalry that they get, the Diabo cavalry. And then if you're looking for more of like a good anti-infantry option, you can go Western-style Grenadiers with the Danube Legion with the Polish, right? And this actually makes Uruguay a much more competitive civ than they were in the past, because now they can usually field out a much larger mass of immigrant units than they could before, you know. They got the same shipment base, rushing speed that the other Latin American civs were able to enjoy with being able to ship them with XP instead of, you know, the regular resources through the shipments. And they can still use their resources to train them as well. So in all, you're basically going to be able to get large stacks of immigrant units that won't compare to any other Juanito Benito civs at all. And in some ways, you're actually able to field larger rushes than any of the other civs can do with their respective counterparts, the units that you own, really, you know? So you might actually be able to get larger rushes of Gallegos than the Ottomans can do with their Janissaries. And that's the whole point of this change, is basically now you can basically get some really big rushes out there and overpower your opponent with your good immigrant units, you know? Look at what we're doing to these Pardos even. Oh yeah, look at these Pardos. They ended up changing the portrait of them. It also totally reworked their stats as well into a pikemen, basically. So now they're basically just pikemen instead of being more the halberdier unit they were before, basically. Yeah. Trying to put up a foundry here. Looks like, nope, that's not happening. Let's just attack and see what happens. Oh, native skirms. That's the last thing I want to deal with. So let's just deal with those. And we should be good. Yeah, look at the pressure we're able to put onto an AI now. This is actually quite substantial, and then as you always do with the Juanitos is, you can just keep mashing that button more and more with every shipment you get. Just works out really well for you in the end. Take you out. I don't want any more production buildings. Don't want any more free stuff coming after me. Yep, and just do this until you eventually can win a match, you know? This is really going to be a big part of your Uruguayan builds going forward, honestly. So you should definitely learn this now. Know about this change that was done in this patch so you can add Uruguay to your list of civs that you'll use in multiplayer. Because in the past, you know, Uruguay has sort of, you know, been in an interesting spot, I would say, in terms of balance. They went from being the most OP civ in the mod to being one of the worst civs in the mod. And now they're sort of just slowly working their way up to the middle, which they never really were. You know, they were either really good or really bad. But now, thanks to this change, it's pretty likely that we'll be able to declare them as being like a pretty good civ now, in terms of their abilities and what they're good at, you know. Because now you got some really good pressure that you can apply as them, which you couldn't do before. Yeah. Certainly, so we'll just finish this up. Shouldn't take too long, I don't think. Even being in another age, I mean, look, I got a very large stack of Jans here, you know? And unlike the unfortunate Ottomans of Wars of Liberty, these guys will also shadow tech and get upgraded too with each age up, so that's good, you know. At least got that on their side, really. He knows he could, like, defend with these Koiguas, right? His villager's actually really good at defense, so I don't know why he's not taking advantage of that. It's cool how the AI knows how to use the immigrant workers, too, to do stuff. That's pretty neat. Definitely. Ooh, Juanitas muy bonitas! Let's get rid of the Juanitas muy bonitas before they use their multipliers and destroy us. Get the Juanita muy bonita there. See? Alright, perfect. Take that out. The stable. Yeah, and I could just do this to infinity and beyond, really. I mean, it's really not much, at least against the spot that they're going to be able to do to stop this. I mean, I already got the momentum on, but it's going to be kind of hard for them to deal with it. Especially since, you know, the Juanito civs don't necessarily get any sort of, like, falconet or heavy cannon leveled artillery unit usually. I mean, yeah, Paraguay could add the Coyote cannon rockets, but doesn't look like he's doing that right now. Does he even have it in his deck? No, No, doesn't even have rockets in the deck. What's up with that, man? It's like your best unit. Why would you have it? Why would you sacrifice having that? It's just not good. And this is what the little mini Croat colony looks like now, too. So, you know, it kind of looks a little bit more unique this way, right? You got, like, the house part, and then you have, like, the little spires there. I like the little immigrant colonies, you know? It makes it feel less, mod-like and a little bit more realistic because, you know, it's not like the old town center buildings we've always known with the big giant point at the top. These things actually sort of have their own identity, being a little bit more tiny and small. And I like that, definitely. So, yep. And now, since you can train your immigrant units from the military buildings, now the choices you do are really going to matter, you know? Because you're not just training out one building, you're going to be able to train them out of multiple buildings, right? Out of your barracks, your stables, or your artillery foundry, right? So yeah, depending on which one you go with, you'll be able to do that. So I think we'll go with the French wave. That'll give us up 3 new units that we can use, right? You got the halberdier with the splash attack. You got the sort of the Lancero style unit that they got. And then you got, of course, their Foreign Legion Cavalry, which is like a Dragoon that's also good against muskets. So, really good stuff with the French. And they're one of the newer immigrants as well, besides the Croats. So, yeah, definitely a very strong choice whenever you can get them with the Civ. Más Juanitas muy bonitas. No more. No más Juanitas muy bonitas. See. That one, that one. There we go. Take that one out. Perfect. Get that one. Wonderful. Yeah, this is... Look at how simple this is. This is... Once you get a stranglehold on the opponent there in terms of your massing, I mean, it's kind of hard for them to fight back, you know? You basically get a really good advantage, you know? You're able to stop them no matter what they do, and then, of course, you're just able to keep beating them back. Yeah, and then wait till you get your siege, and then you just finish them off, yeah. I mean, obviously, a real opponent would be microing a lot more. They'd be kiting with these skirmishers, and they'd be kind of a bit of a problem, just like Happy did in the match we just did. But, yeah, in general, if you learn this really well and you make the right choice in regards to what immigrants you get with Uruguay, you're going to be able to really use this feature really well, with being able to get them at both the colonies for XP, for shipments and at the military buildings for resources. Yeah, so... a lot of advantages there. It's like nothing the AI can do at this point that can really save themselves too much, you know what I mean? And then we can start making the French units, which is great. We can pick up our smelter house and get some good mining going. Lots of good resources across the board. And then we can just go galego. Or guess what? We can actually just upgrade some of our units too now. We can potentially... wait a minute, I didn't put any in this deck. That's weird. Why didn't I put any in this deck? That's a bit strange. I put the combat in, but I didn't put anything else in. That's a little weird. Definitely got to fix that at some point. But, you know, you get the idea. You could add in Blandigus as well. You know, I like the Blandigu unit as Uruguay. It's actually a really solid Dragoon that deals splash with its blunderbuss. So if you combine a lot of these immigrant units with those, I think you're really going to be in good shape usually. Yeah, and then I can just add another battalion of these, yep. And then I'll just add in these Palatine guards for some really good siege. Heck, we could probably even add in a few Pardos as well, since they're quite a cheap unit, you know. They are a bit weaker than normal European pikemen, but spam-wise, they're quite a massable unit, you know. You have to dish out a little bit more food, but in terms of the wood cost, it's a little bit cheaper. So, definitely a much easier unit to make in the late game, if your Civ can, you know, get their stats up pretty good. Yeah. What do we got here? We're going to be doing... So get as much of this as we can, right? That, wonderful. This will be our siege, really, so we'll just move them forward and we should be able to push right away. Yep. Yeah, let's go right for it, right now. Right here, right now. Go right for the base. Maybe just spam out Pardos from here, I guess, since it'll be a cheap, massable thing. You can get the veteran upgrade here. Inspired Pardo. Still making Juanitas muy bonitas? This man's addicted to the Juanitas muy bonitas. Just keeps making them no matter what. I mean, if they're winning or not, it's just making them. Yeah. You know something significant that you might notice is now, because the Pardos now have 5x against cavalry, being like an actual pikeman now. That means that this card here, Proclamación de Mercedes, actually gives them multipliers of 6x against cavalry, which is actually really big. It almost makes them like the spontooners of the Anglophils. So now these spears are going to be really good for taking out scout, assault, even maneuver or mounted skirms, you know. These pikes are definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with now. So yeah, definitely add them into your armies. I definitely see them being an integral part of the Paraguayans, maybe the Peruvians, who knows. Yeah, definitely. So take that out. Should be an easy siege in, yep. Easy siege. Let's go for a big siege, get some more coin, some dinero. Wonderful. Take over the base and we should be good. My town, no! Your town, yes. It's the way the War of the Triple Lance must end. This is how it ended, by the way, you know. Not by a bunch of Argentine and Brazilian allies, but rather a bunch of Arab migrants with muskets. Yeah. Exactly how it ended. So this is the little Scandinavian colony, is that right? Interesting. I'm surprised the bot's still going for defense here. Yeah, I don't know why this bot is even still trying to do this, but it's alright. It's alright, we get to enjoy a little bit more fun from it, you know. Yeah. Pick up our Trabuco and our Naranjito. This is the reason why these Brandengus are basically the best unit for Uruguay that's part of their roster, because with this, they go from 1 splash to 2 splash. Really powerful change for them. Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty good win, you know. I mean, don't have to check the postgame too much because it's just a mere but. Yeah, you get the point, though. This Uruguay Civ really looking great right now. Definitely consider picking up the Civ in your multiplayer and your tournament stuff in the Ligas. Yeah. So there we go. Uruguay with immigrant units at both their colonies, right, for shipments, just like you've always known them with the other civs, but they can now train them for resources at the military buildings, right? So same cost as a Doppel, same cost as a Janissary, and so forth, right? Just make sure that you pick immigrant units that will best suit your strategy. Even though I like going the Arab and French route, maybe you like going the Polish and Chinese route or something. Who knows? Yeah. It's really up to you. So, alright, I'll see you next time whenever Wars of Liberty releases another patch. Or check out my streams that I do every week regarding Wars of Liberty. And I'm signing off now. See you next time.